Hello, my name is Isabela Condo-Olvera and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something I'm really excited about. We're going to start a series of Quarantinterviews, and we're going to start with college students in the performing arts. I think the college student life is significantly different for those of us in the performing arts, especially now. The complications, I know we're all going through stuff, but the complications for performing arts careers are especially because we really kind of need to be in person to do our thing, except we're not, and we're just kind of having to adjust with that. But it's been so exciting to look at him like fly across the world and pursue his dreams. So I'm so excited to talk to him. Even though he's in Costa Rica right now, we're adhering to quarantine guidelines, so we're doing it all on Zoom, highlighting the importance of technology and having a powerful system. I am so proud to be a Dell brand advocate and help artists and students in a similar situation to my own to navigate it through technology, take advantage of the technology available, as I'm doing with Fabián right now. And I hope you enjoy. Hello!
Hello, everyone.
Welcome. So Fabi is my very close friend from Costa Rica. We're both in Costa Rica, but we're being safe, so we're doing it virtually. And he's currently studying at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. He's studying musical theater, which is very, very cool. So today we're just going to talk about his experiences. So tell everyone how you found out about the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, like how you auditioned for it, what that whole process was like.
Well, it was terrifying. No, it was, I initially I was considering either auditioning on the UK or on the United States. And then basically I evaluated the whole situation. It was less expensive to study on the UK, and it's also just 3 years instead of 4. So I finally decided, like, okay, no, I'll only focus on the UK. And then I started looking into several different universities. I already knew about the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Our teacher, Sylvia, she studied at Central, and she had told me that she thought that the Conservatoire was a very good match with me, because it's very musical, and it has this whole program focused on the musicals. That we actually do an Attribution show towards the end, so we play all the instruments and everything, and it's super cool.
Is it like a full musical?
Yeah. So on third year, we have 3 different productions, and one of them is full actor musical. So we get trained in instruments as well, and yeah, we have to play everything. So it's very exciting.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm learning the oboe and the guitar, and I already play a little bit of piano.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Well, the dancing, it's that's my excuse. I'm like, if I cannot be a triple threat because I can't really dance, I can play instruments, so I'm still a triple threat. So oh, well, yeah, but the audition, I always do that. I just go and so I went there to the UK for about a month last year, and I auditioned for lots of different places. I was only in Glasgow for about 3 days, and the audition process was 2 days, and it was actually my first audition, so I was terrified, but something just clicked. I really felt really good with the conservatoire. So yeah, when I got accepted, I was very excited, because it was totally my top choice. So.
And I have a question. So I'm gonna brag about you for a little bit, but you got in almost everywhere except everywhere except one place. And these programs are crazy competitive. When you look at the numbers, the acceptance rates, both in the US and the UK, they're Ivy League level because they're really small classes. So having gotten into like all these great programs for musical theater, what was it that made it's true, but was it that made like the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland the one, like the top one?
So again, the audition was very, very, very good. I felt very free to be myself. I think just people click with certain places. The Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, the program sort of feels very me. So just reading about how the classes are distributed and this whole like instrumental side of it. And I loved Glasgow as well. That was another big thing. We are from Costa Rica, which is not that big. And I felt like moving straight to London would be like a very, very, very big change. And Glasgow is it's like a good balance, I would say.
And you mentioned like the schedule. So what does your, pre-COVID and pre-pandemic, what was your weekly schedule like?
Well, it was pretty intense because again, we get trained in like acting, singing, dancing, and music. So it's like, we are usually there from like 9 a.m. usually until 6 p.m. Sometimes we would get a little bit of a break, but like for example, Wednesdays were insane because we started, I think we started at like 8:30, and then I had the latest tap class, so I didn't finish until like 9 p.m. So I was there for over 12 hours, and it was like, I towards the end of the day, I was like, ugh. And besides, tap is like, it was very frustrating for me with tap because I love tap, and I've always felt like it was a good balance between like, you know, the musical side of it, because I can catch it with my ear, I just cannot do it with my feet. But it was like, I always really enjoyed tap. But then my classes at the conservatoire, I was like, I thought I was good at this, and then I really struggled for a while. But I think it was just like a mixture between being very tired towards the end of the day and, you know, having my insecurities with dance. But I got over that, and now I feel great about it.
Yay! Would you say that was your most challenging class?
That or accents and dialects. That was very, very, very hard. But interestingly, it's like accents and dialects is also one of my favorite classes. I'm like really passionate about that. And it was a challenge because of course English is not my first language. And I've learned English, you know, by like listening to movies and stuff like that, which are usually like general American accent, sometimes with a little bit more specific places, or like RP, British, general British accent, you know? And then when I got there, they were like, okay, let's do Cockney, let's do Yorkshire, and they were like so specific, and I was like, I've never heard these accents in my life. I can barely understand what you're saying, so I don't know how to do this. But also I loved my homeworks for accents and dialects because they were like, you can watch these movies, you can watch these series. I watched the whole of Game of Thrones because of that, because I was like, I need to get this Yorkshire accent right. And my teacher was like, you can watch the first 3 episodes. And I started watching it and I got obsessed and I finished the whole thing.
Wow. And how was like the translating the program online? How was that whole process for you?
Well, they were very, very considerate about everything. You know, especially with like time difference, there's like a 7-hour difference. So, and we have people from all over the place. One of my classmates lives in Singapore. So it's like the other end. So they basically split us in 2. And I have 3 other classmates who are from the United States. So we basically became like our little group, and in most of the classes we had together. For example, most of the dance classes, they were like live in UK morning, but that would have been like 3 a.m. for me. So they recorded it and then we took it afterwards, and we could like send in videos and stuff to the teachers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but the dancing, like especially because I've never been good with like, you know, with like they're turning and I'm like, is that way or that way? I don't get it. And it's especially hard when it's through video, and like I couldn't ask anyone. I could just, you know, just rewind the video. But then my classes, which are usually like, I don't know, 1 hour and a half, ended up being like 3 hours because I was like, I'm not getting this right. And I was just doing it again and again. So it became frustrating. And eventually another one of my classmates was having the same problem, and the teachers were like, no, stop doing that. Just do whatever you can, but don't rewind, because that wouldn't be the way a class works anyway. So like, if you have extra time, great, but like try adhering to the schedule, you know. That ended up being a little bit frustrating, but I would say they definitely adjusted in the best way possible, and I think it worked.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I feel like now more than ever, we're like really depending on technology for art. But especially for art, now it's just like, this is what we have, and we have to find a way to make it work. And do you have any tips specifically, well, both in general for online auditions, but also like for the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, for people who might be applying in the future?
Well, be prepared, definitely. I was actually able to help out in some of this year's audition, so like for people applying. And you could tell some people were very, very, very prepared, and then some others were like, wait, we have to bring a Shakespeare monologue? And I'm like, it says it right there. And then also, I know that's like pretty impossible, but try to at least meditate or something before going to an audition, because you can read the energy in a room. And if somebody walks in being like super nervous and not confident at all, that says a lot, and that might end up affecting your performance, your audition. So, you know, take the time to breathe beforehand. I always carry my essential oils. They calm me down. I have a bottle of water close. And then also, especially for the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, the audition, especially the second day, it's very much like seeing what you can do with your creative side. So like, for example, they ask you to bring in something written by you. So it can either be like a monologue or a song, it can be a dance, it can be whatever you want. But for when I did my audition, something, I don't know, because I had read that, I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't really have anything for it. Talk about being prepared, right?
Prepared or just be very gifted and talented like Fabián, and you'll still get it.
But what I've noticed is most people do not have something, you know, super prepared. And I think that's for that specific part of the audition. Like what I did,
that's like the round, right?
Yeah, that's the second day, and it's like they have like 3 cuts. That's the final one. And then what I did, I was staying at like this hostel, so I was sharing my room and everything, and I was like, okay, wow, wonderful, I passed. I have to go the next day. Now I have to write something down. So I went with my iPad to the fire stairs, and just sat there and wrote a song about how frustrating it is knowing that I will never be a Disney princess. And
never say never.
That's what they said to me, and then that's why I was like, this is the place for me. And I think that was cool, because it spoke a lot about my personality, about like things that I love, and about how my brain works, you know? And that's what's lovely about that part of the audition. It really gives you the chance to like present yourself as you are. Don't stress too much about it. They want to see you. And so it's like finding a balance, I guess, like throughout the whole audition process. You know, the first bit, it's like quite quick. the first step is basically like you have the dance school, and then you have it's more of like walk in the room, do your monologue, do your song, and then if you go through, then do the other monologue, do the other song, and then that's the part when they start like giving you some sort of direction and changing the circumstance and playing around just to see how you react. And now that's where it starts getting like super interesting, because it challenges you, and it's weird. That's the part that always makes me the most nervous, because that's what sort of forces you to show yourself. You have to be vulnerable and open to what they say, and you never know what they're going to say. So the first step is basically like you have the dance school, and then you have you do, I think, your 2 songs, or like a 32 bar count of the songs, and then 1 monologue. They give you like some challenges, like something on the spot that you have like half an hour to do, and then you have to perform it. And then after that, they have like a short interview, and then that's it. And then you have to stress for 2 weeks or more about wondering if you got in or not.
2 weeks isn't that bad. 2 weeks is not.
No, it was super good for me, but most people have to wait for it. I don't know why. Like, I think it was because I was one of the last auditions. But most people have to wait for like a long time. I got so excited. I was with her friend Rax, and she was giving me this massive tour through London. We walked and walked and walked, and it was wonderful. We went to St. Paul's Cathedral, and I sang Feed the Birds, and we were just having such a wonderful day. And then I got this email, because to apply, you use this thing called like UCAS, or Conservatory UCAS, and then that's where it gets notified first. So apparently my status had already changed, and I got this email saying like what to do next. And I was like, wait, does this mean I got in? Did I get in? What was going on? And I got super excited, and
And how do they divide the years? Like, what classes do you take each year?
So the first year, which is the only one I've done, it's very much like divided learning. It's like they separate, dancing, acting, singing, music, or voice and music, and it's a bit more like separated. Then the second year, it's basically joining all of those together. We still have like our individual classes, but it's more of like, okay, let's learn this dance, and then we have to sing it as well, and then we do the scene, and then go into song and all of that. So it's a bit of like joining the forces,
Mm-hmm.
And then the third year is basically all of the shows.
And the showcase, is it in Glasgow?
They do one at the Conservatoire, and then they also do one in London.
Ooh, so you get both options.
Yeah, on a West End stage. It's so cool. I know.
And what is Glasgow like? So you mentioned it was a good balance between like an in-between like San Jose and London.
I would say the weather was the hardest thing to get used to. At first, everyone is super like warm and kind. Everyone's very welcoming, so that was lovely. It's definitely like more open-minded than what I was used to, so that's wonderful, of course. Well, especially like being at the Conservatory, it's like all there is people studying arts, so that it has a very, very nice atmosphere in general. But even on the streets, like I lived at in the very city center, and like I would go to pubs at Sauchiehall Street, which is like, I don't know, 1 kilometer away from where I lived, and then go back walking at 3 a.m. and feeling super, super, super safe. So that's also very nice. And I don't know, it's just that like a very cool thing living on your own in Europe. There's like always something going on. There are like tours and stuff going through Glasgow, so I got to see a bunch of musicals. There's a bunch of concerts. I saw Anais Mitchell, the writer, the songwriter of of Hadestown. Starts with an H, same thing. And that was insane. Like I was literally just walking through the streets and I saw this little flyer of like her face, and it was like, yeah, she'll be performing next week here, and I was like, what? This is insane. It was so cool, so cool. Yeah, there's always stuff going on, and besides, I get to go to every performance that's like from students of the Conservatoire for free, and that's like what, like 400 different things that they put on every year, and it's so good, you know. It's like top musicians, top actors, top filmmakers, and it's so cool.
And how much connection is there between like non-musical theater people studying at the Conservatoire and like the musical theater branch?
We have our projects that sort of connect us. You know, they're incredible artists that are like super professional on what they do, and you get a little bit of everything. You get like every instrument that you can get. You get filmmaking, you get production, you get acting, you get dancing. So it's like a little bit of everything. So it's like you do have the opportunity to connect. I guess you'd have to make a little bit of an extra effort to, like, you know, if you really want to be close with them and work with them, you would probably have to reach out to them yourself. But they're still there, like, you know, it's the same building.
As far as like social life, so would you say most of your friends are like in the program? How much time do you have to actually have a social life? It sounds like everything's pretty intense.
It is pretty intense, and I was like, by like months, but I was one of the oldest. And I felt that they were like every weekend they were going out, and I was like there laying in bed like, no, I have no energies. How do you do that? How do you do that? Yeah, they went out quite a lot, and sometimes I joined them, and it was wonderful. And now I regret so much not going out more, you know, because while I had, and sometimes it was because like, I don't know, I was trying to save up money. I was basically, I had like my savings, and I could see them running out. So I was like, I don't want to go out as much, but I regret it so much. I should have, you know, lived my life. And like Glasgow has a very cool like party scene, and yeah, there's lots of different pubs, and as I said, there's lots of like concerts and stuff. I definitely did not explore as much as I would have liked to, but there's plenty to do. And another thing is it was a little bit uncomfortable having to go to a bar with like a massive coat on and then having to carry it around and dance with it and everything. I would see so many people were just like wearing this like shorts or like tiny skirts, and I'm like, how do you do that? I'm freezing and I have like 3 different layers on. How do you survive? It's incredible.
So in terms of like the class, like there's a lot of rigor, but would you say, how are you evaluated?
There's people who know so much about music, and they're like incredible musicians, but then they don't have as much experience with dance. It happens the other way around. There's some people who, you know, everyone has their strengths, and the first year is basically trying to level that out. So they just basically work with what you have. They're very understanding with that. We do get like evaluated, but it's not like impossible. Well, it's not impossible that can happen, but they will warn you. Like if you're failing at something, they will tell you like, okay, you really have to work on this. We need you to do better at this. But no, they're not like super. It's not like they would kick you out if you're not. Well, if you're not doing anything, they probably could, but they work with you. You know.
And how do I haven't asked you this before, but how do grades work? Because it's not like
there's no academic, non-artistic side of it, right? So is it still like percentages, or how do they evaluate?
They do have percentages. We usually do not get the percentages. Like, we just have these like tutorials, and they tell us sort of where we are and how to move up, but like they don't give us the grades.
Which makes sense for art, because
It's very hard to evaluate, and there's like several people evaluating you on that. So like, for example, all of our big evaluations happened this last term, which was online, so we had to send out videos, different monologues and songs and stuff like that, and then we would have like a meeting with our teachers, and they'd be like, okay, this was great, you really have to work on this, I recommend you do this, and they're very kind to you.
And in terms of like casting for like the third year shows, how does that work? Is it prescriptive? Do you have to audition at all, or?
They do have to. Well, I haven't done it, so I'm not entirely sure how it works. But I do know they have auditions. Of course, like we're like our class is like 18 people. So when they choose a show, they have some sort of casting in their heads. But you can change that.
How open are they to having you like do performing arts work outside of the university, or what do you say, like it's just so intense there is no time?
No, it is possible. Now, unfortunately, because of my visa, it's very frustrating because I can work, but I cannot work in entertainment, which is basically the only thing I do. So
wait, so it's in anything else?
I can work in anything else, and that's not because of the conservatoire. That's just because of how the visas work. I have several friends who do like different things, and they work on the commercials and stuff like that. Yeah, but unfortunately I cannot do that.
So in terms of like community and how you build that for yourself, would you say that like the environment is very supportive of each other? Is it competitive at all?
I thought I would get a little bit more frustrated with that, and at times I have. Like, I have all of my classmates are super, super, super talented, but it doesn't. I just want them to do well. At times I would get frustrated because I'm like, okay, I'm the only one who's not getting this step right. Why am I the only one who's not being able to do this? But that's normal, and I think that always happens in the arts, because it's hard not to take it personally, because you are the thing that you're working on. So it takes a little bit of working on your perspective on how you view things. It's definitely a big thing of like, okay, I was the singer here, and now I get there and there's so many people who can sing way better than I can, and can also act incredibly, and like it surely is a bit of a punch, but it's good because you need those realizations in your life, and it makes you grow as a person and as an artist. It makes you push yourself a little bit harder. Of course, after a while, like sharing, what is that, like 9 hours with the same group of people, after a couple of months, there are some tensions that arise, but we love each other. Like, it's like a family. Every family will have its fights, every family will have its problems, but we're super close, and it's a lovely group of people.
How many of your classmates are in a similar position? Like, how many are international?
A couple of them. There's the 3 from the United States. There's Ronan from Russia. There's not a lot of them who live in Glasgow. Most of them are from the UK, but like from all over the place. So it's still like a big change. Well, I'm the only Latino, but that's not like a very weird thing. Like, there's not a lot of Latinos would choose to go to Scotland. Like, it's not necessarily their fault. Like, I went to their auditions and I met one Argentinian girl. It's a little bit, these are very changing times, and I'm very glad that there's been more attention put into things like these, because it is a predominantly white program. I know they're trying to like diversify and but you know it's a process, and at least they're trying, you know. I'm pretty white, like even though I'm Latino, I'm pretty white, so but that I'm still international.
In terms of, well, probably this is changing with the online thing, but like how are the facilities? What can you use usually? Where do you take classes? How does that work?
I'm going to miss that because that will change for sure. We have a lot of practice rooms, which I usually booked like 3 or 2 nights at least after classes, and they're like these you know, small rooms with a piano, so I get to scream as loud as I want and practice piano for as long. Well, you do have to book them, and there's not a lot of availability during the day, but I would usually just stay after hours. And then that would be my excuse to grab McDonald's on the way, because I was like, it's too late to cook. So that's pretty incredible, and they were all like great pianos, and I miss that. They also have like a wonderful library where you can find such a wide variety of music and of plays and everything. We also had access to like online stuff, online like programs to like write down music and stuff like that, which we get classes for and stuff like that. So
Are there any electives? Like, is there any point where you can like, oh, I'm very interested in this part, or like if you really love the accents and dialects class, taking an additional one, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, they do. Actually, on first year, we basically don't, but then on second and third year, we do have like optionals. One, which is the one that I chose, which is like mindfulness and sort of stuff like that for artists, which I'm very interested in. They have a British Sign Language course, which is super cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Conservatoire actually has one like it's like an acting course in British Sign Language.
How do you feel? Do you feel very supported mental health wise by the university?
There's like a psychologist on the campus, and there's a lot of like mental health support. They pay for this like website where there's always support. They also have like some psychiatrists and stuff like that you can go to, and you get like the first 6 therapy sessions for free. So that's, yeah, I definitely feel like it's a safe space.
Thank you so much. Do you have, just to close the whole interview out, any advice for like either incoming international students or students considering the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, auditioning, like all those people?
I mean, I love it. I feel like it's a very, they focus a lot on you as an individual, and they work on you to make you the best artist that you can be, instead of like trying to mold you into a stereotypical musical theater performer, you know? So that, I really like that a lot. I would say definitely give it a chance. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place. Years ago, I would have never thought I would have ended up in Scotland, but it's such a nice place, and it's such a great environment. People are great, and so I fully recommend it. If you're interested in the arts in general, the Conservatoire is a great place.
That's awesome. Thank you. Gracias, Fabi. I love you.
Yo a vos. Mwah.
Mwah.